My guest today is Taiwanese filmmaker Yuhan Tsai, and Yuhan is a Columbia University School of the Arts MFA graduate and is known for crafting emotionally resonant stories centered on women, identity, and inner transformation. Her previous short films have screened at internationally recognized festivals, and it is her newest short film, Do a G, will screen at the 2026 South by Southwest Film Festival. Now, the film is set in a rural Taiwan town during her mother's funeral, and Duoji follows the eldest daughter as she is forced to confront the patriarchal rituals and quiet weight of duty that has long defined her life. Now, as the ceremonies unfold and tensions quietly surface, the story positions itself as both an intimate personal journey and a reflection of gender, cultural inheritance, and intergenerational tension. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome filmmaker Yuhan Tsai and her South by Southwest official selection, Do a G, to the show. What welcome, Yuhan?
Hi, thank you so much for the introduction. That was really great. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Well, where did the idea come from to explore the intense emotional circumstances of not only planning a funeral, but having to relive the grief and the loss again on the day of the funeral?
You mean why I decided to have the like a day of the funeral? Yes. Um, yeah, when I was creating the film, because it was inspired by my grandmother's funeral and as because the funeral process is quite long in Taiwan or from my city at least, like the process could be like 2 weeks or even longer sometimes. It depends on the calendar, like the calendar we use. And so like the day when the days goes by, actually the days before the funeral, it feels a little bit like family hangout sometimes, like we finally get to see each other. And the tension was not quite there all the time. It's always like people still, have meals together, people greeting each other. But when the time get closer, when everything's wrapping up, that's when a lot of things, the emotions of everything explode. And I think especially like the fire scene, the bonfire we have shot in the movie. That was the time a day before the funeral that we have to, start burning stuff for the deceased and all that stuff. So I personally feel like when I was going through those process, the day before and on the day is the most, emotional, and that's the moment you start feeling like really feeling like this person is leaving and this person is gone. Yeah.
Well, you cover three very important elements in the film. You cover grief, resentment, and the weight of tradition. And you intertwined all three with such grace in the film. Was there a challenge to balance all three?
Yes, I think the challenge will come from performance because I think especially when we are doing editing, we're trying to balance out like, how much grief, especially for the main character, the big sister, how much grief we want to show here and what is more realistic for the audience to relate to or for me to relate to is like when she will feel emotional and when she will be taking the role of as a big sister for the family and all that stuff. We have been trying to navigate or balance out her performance in a way to tell the story in the most authentic way.
Well, it seems that in Asian cultures, the patriarchal order is actually not in order as it is in America. Can you explain?
Yes, I think because I'm from rural Taiwan, not like rural, but like, from my city, there's more traditional family structure and it's still deeply rooted in some of the families and my mom's families like that. And I think it's like a very rooted culture, so people wouldn't really like feel like that's a thing. But because I went to America and I, has to experience different culture and stuff, so when I went back to see it, like I don't really feel judgmental, but I just feel like this is an interesting perspective and interesting feeling to reveal like what actually these characters would feel in those situations. And yeah, it's not the whole Taiwan is like that for sure. Because I believe there's a lot of other families don't really have this problem, but specifically there's some families I know have this problem. I think it's worth to, capture their feelings for them.
Well, In the film, the mother had six daughters before having a son, but the son was moved ahead of them all due to tradition. So in Taiwanese culture, how much resentment does this cause other siblings?
I think because for us, we are more, we don't really speak up our feelings or emotions as much as even myself too, comparing to like other culture people. I realize myself doesn't really speak up as much, but I've been becoming more like, stand for my voice and all that stuff when I had after I experienced different cultures. So sorry, what was your question again? I was
Well, in the film, the mother had six daughters before having a son, but it was the son who is moved ahead of them all due to tradition. So in Taiwanese culture, how much resentment does this cause other siblings?
because this is a feeling that I talk to my mother. I think the feeling is definitely there, but how much I really can measure like how much they feel that way. But I definitely feel like that's the feelings that they don't talk a lot, and they have the feeling in their mind, but they don't really get a chance to express as much as us. So I think, yeah, for those characters, they definitely feel something, and I heard a lot of people have like similar situation. Even myself went through a funeral last year, and there are just some feelings there when things on, like as a daughter, you on like the most one of the most important person. Like there is someone is comparably more important, like all that stuff. Slightly hurts. Like it's not slightly hurt, like it hurts, but then you can't really do that much when you are in that situation because things has to keep going. Yeah.
Well, like in the film, the element of resentment is an emotion that simmers underneath the surface when multiple family members are involved in the planning of the funeral, but more after the funeral is over and the estate has to be taken care of. And in this case, the resentment stems from what will happen to the mother's home after the funeral is over, correct? So was that something that you had to live through when
Oh yeah,
your grandmother passed?
my mother.
Oh, your
So,
mother.
and I mean, it's not completely based on her real story. It's I just based on what I feel for her. But yeah, some of the family will give everything for the son. So it's that hurts, and the feelings of either you sell it or not. You just know this is not your home anymore. It's someone, because your parents are not there. You're supposed to go anytime you want because they're your parents, but then when they're gone, then someone will get to decide whether you can come home or not, and they are not parents. So I feel like that feelings is quite you know
Yeah, like in the film where, the son really kind of started making a lot of the decisions. And like you had said, not everybody actually is open to express their emotions. But when the son and then the eldest sister get into the conversation about the home, he really had no, even though he grew up in the home as a child, he never really had the attachment to the home, but the elder sister did. But was that really a sign of her not ready to let the grief go?
yeah. And the setup for the film is also the sister leaving that place longer, and I feel like every siblings, or after we grow up, we have different attachment to our family or our home or to things. So yeah, I think for her, because she's been taking care of the mother, or she's been the one who's like carer after mother left. For me, for this Dodgy, her name is like big sister, and she has a stronger attachment to the home as a home instead of a property, if that makes sense.
Oh, very, very much so. Now, I know that grief is a very difficult emotion as it never stands alone. And there's a feeling of loss of the loved one, the fear of the future without them, and navigating through the slowness of time to heal. But the main character, she was dealing with grief in a very silent way and was not talking it out. with her siblings, which I guess goes back to what you had said earlier about basically tradition in a way of growing up in the culture that not everybody expresses their emotions openly. Why did you want her to silently struggle with her grief in the film?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. I think because she's the eldest sister of the family, and as why I mentioned that she is a carer for me in the film or in this family. And during the funeral process, it's sometimes really long. And then when people are prepping it or like doing all the stuff, you will slightly kind of forget this is a grief situation when you are busy to take care of everyone, or your attention is on like how to make these things work. So for me, for her, I feel like she's really caring about family and really want to make things work, and then trying to navigate everything throughout the funeral. But I feel like the time when it's like a bonfire scene we had, or the funeral scene, or when we are leaving home, I feel like for that moment, even for myself, that was when you really, really feel like this is happening and this person is actually gone. And even I chat with my mother, it's like when things are happening you still feel like this person is there because the body is at home, you have a freezer, you can go see them and we will talk to the person, all that stuff. So that made you feel like they're still around, so the grief wasn't really really like there yet. But then when you see them cover the coffin, when you can really see the face and there's some ceremony to like the final look for them, I think that was the time you really, really feel like you're losing this person and this person is gone. Yeah.
You know, that really plays into the scene at the funeral where all of the siblings put their hands on the casket, but the eldest sister didn't. Was that a sign of her not ready to let go? Or really not really ready to say goodbye?
I think it is a sign, and it is also a feeling because I've been through a funeral for my father, and that there's just some moment you just don't want to accept it, or like that moment is too really intense, but then you have to follow the coffin now. That's just a tradition, and that is really quite hard feeling to like really accept it, even though it was chaotic, everything was like very busy before that. But then when you actually have to see them get burned or like whatever is gonna happen, it really really hard to like attach.
Well, I noticed in the film the funeral was very sad, but also sterile in a way due to following tradition. Today, like here in America, many today will call it a celebration of life, trying to bring in moments of joy, memories of happiness, maybe humor, but none of that was in this funeral. Why?
Mhm. It's actually I think maybe the vibe, we didn't really try to capture that part, but I would describe sometimes when I was at the funeral, it feels like Lunar New Year a little bit. I feel like that's the wrong way to say it, but like it feels like family has this reason to see each other again, and then it feels like a family gathering. So then when we have meals or when we see each other, it's actually like very family chatting and greeting and catch up moments. So those moments, like the kitchen scene, it feels like the whole family is like get to have lunch with each other, and everyone's like happy and then asking how each other is doing. All that stuff happen. And also the set of the funeral is like all pink and stuff because if the disease is old enough, I forgot how exactly what's the age, but if you're old enough, you will be all pink for celebration because it's you have done a lot, and then you got to this age, so we have to like have this like colorful color, and like it feels so more delightful. So the whole set was actually in pink. So that was a part of it, yeah. So we do the same thing, but I feel like maybe we couldn't really a celebration. We will celebrate after the funeral. Is family will have meals like we had that too. We will go to a restaurant and everyone can start chatting again after everything's done. But that's after that, yeah.
You know, when I noticed how vibrant the colors were for the mother's funeral, and uh, within that pink and white striped tent, there is this very large uh, f- flower designed arrangement in the background. How long did it take you to create that?
We are really lucky because I actually bring my pitch deck and everything to funeral home. So everything was sponsored by local funeral house. So they are professional. They just let me pick, what color we like, and then they just set it up in like an hour or 2 hours. Like it was really fast. They are professional. That's like viewed by the real funeral house. Yeah.
So you had a real funeral house put all of that together?
Yeah, it's like a real authentic look. Like everything was from them. Yeah.
That is impressive because I was looking at all of the flowers in that huge design of the arrangement, and I'm looking at the white outline of the flowers, and I'm thinking, how in the world did they do that, and how long did it take? But well, you got the professionals to put it all together pretty quickly. That's extremely impressive. Now, how did you come to cast the legendary Taiwanese actress, and I'm probably going to mispronounce her name, but is it Q Mei Yang?
Yeah, Gui Mei. Yeah,
So,
we
how did you
call
come to
her
cast
Gong.
her?
We were lucky. We were really, really lucky because when I wrote the story, I was like, "Oh my God, like finding actor can really pull off this role is really, really hard." So then we have couple options, but we have people we want to reach out to, but we reach out to her first because she is, like the person that would be perfect for this role. So we reach out to her. We also like I did a pitch deck and everything and script, so we sent to their agent. We basically just didn't have hope to like, we just like let's try, and then they were interested. So they were interesting from a very, very early on when we were trying to cast someone already. So when they say yes, because we couldn't really pair anyone else without we set who is the big sis to set other roles because it just need to be like matching the chemistry or whatever. They have to look like a family. So we were really lucky. We sent that to them and they were interested. We talked a few times and then we locked her.
Wow. So by casting her, it really kicked off about putting the rest of the cast together.
Yeah, because we really need to cast the role first before we bring other people or reach out to any other roles we want.
Well, tell me about the rest of the cast because I found the overall cast to be fantastic as they truly seem like a family in the film.
Oh, thank you. I'm really happy about that because I've been talking to my the other partner producer, and then we've been talking like how can we make them really look like a family. Yeah, we are really lucky for other cast too, like the brother who is his name is Jia Kui. He's also a really famous Taiwanese actor in TV or films already, and he's really professional. And he actually went to Edinburgh Film School for acting before, so it was really really nice. And yeah, I think we reached out to wait. He was also the first one we actually reach out to and then have like audition, and then he was the first one I saw for this role, and then I was like, oh, I think we should have him. So yeah, everything happened in a very, very like miracle and lucky way that everything worked out in this way. It's like,
Well, I love the stories on how the film comes together because it's either going to be magic or miracles when it comes to either casting, set design. There's so many things involved, and it's so good to hear that good things happen, everything comes together, especially with this type of film. Now, I also understand that you use cinematographer Murdo Barker Mill for your film. What did you see in his work that you wanted him to shoot your film?
yeah, thank you for asking that too. We actually met at Columbia, so I think we know each other. We were really close from the first year already, and I was his DP for his like some exercise from school, and then he was my DP, and I was his editor. Like we work on, and he was my editor for some of my like commercial and small projects. So I think the trust built up since then. And he's actually himself is the director from Columbia too, and then he does editing too. So I feel like working with him was quite easy. The only thing was I have to translate the script and then I translate back to him. But then, like, because the emotions is there and he understands the language of the cinema. So, like, sometimes I will tell him, like, oh, what's happening now? And then he will get, like, oh, so that's what we're going to do. So we have a very great trust and we know I think we have a shared vision in a way that it doesn't make things harder when he doesn't speak the language because you know the story so well before we shot it already. Yeah.
Well, what color palette did you use for your film? Because in the film, or in a film of grief and one with a funeral scene, the color palette must show the elements of grief, but in some traditions, funerals are either muted in color or they're vibrant like they were in your film.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I didn't think about color palettes, but I think in the house and outside the house, because we only have like I would consider that two locations. One is in the tent, one is in the house. And actually three. And one is outside of the house, but yeah, in the same area. And they have completely different look. Like in the tent, it's like very colorful. But one interesting thing is that the older cats have to wear black, so it actually make everything easier to navigate the color palette, especially for the tent. If you wear like any other color or like everyone wear a different color, that would be really hard to manage. So luckily, not luckily, like traditionally we have to wear black or like some other like white for the funeral. So for that tent, it's like very colorful, saturated, very bright. But it's normally simply just look like that realistically in the house because that's my neighbor's house. Their old home. We also lucky that I got to ask like my neighbor randomly. He's like, "Oh, I'm looking for an old house," and then they said, "Oh, we have one. We haven't used for like years." So I went to see the house, and in the house, the natural tone of the house is more, like dark red, like some more like traditional or like old Taiwanese house like texture is slightly brown and everything is a bit more faded. The color isn't like modern color. It's like everything's slightly faded. So this is like completely two different kind of like vibe from the tent to the house. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Now, what about? So I noticed that in the day before the funeral, where there was the bonfire,
Mm-hmm.
then the day of the funeral, what? So in Taiwanese culture, what does the head covering mean? And then at the funeral, everybody was wearing something that looked like burlap type material over their
Burlap.
clothes. What does that represent?
Oh, you mean their costume for the funeral?
Yes.
Let me think of how to describe that in English. Uh, it's for it's the closest quote. Let me search real quick. I have to search in English.
Because I noticed the
There.
head covering, and I noticed the costumes that they
Okay.
would wear over their
Uh,
clothes.
filial piety. Filial is a Filial. What the? How to say that?
That's all right.
That's right. So that's the meaning of if you are filial. Is that the word? Sorry, I'm just not sure.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's basically you have to wear that to present that you care about the family, you love your parents, and you are the good kids for like kind of stuff like that. And then everyone will wear different outfits, wear different shape. Like the son, the eldest son, and the eldest grandson will wear different clothes. They have their own thing. Like these two people, and the daughters who had married will wear a different thing. The daughter hasn't married will wear a different thing, and the daughter-in-law will wear the daughter's outfit. So the daughter who hasn't married will wear the same as the daughter-in-law's one. So that's like everyone wear a different thing according to like are you a part of family or not, or like are you married or not.
So, how long did it take you to film it?
You mean the whole shoot?
Yeah.
I think that was like 4, 5 days around that. Yeah, that was a year ago. I think it's 5 days. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good because you had a lot to put together because you're staging a full funeral.
Yeah, yeah. We actually quite that was quite tight. Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
so. Well, for you, how does it feel to be in an official selection at South by Southwest?
I'm really happy and I'm super excited because I was just really excited to share the film on big screen with the great audiences, and I'm really excited to see how people feel, or like how do they feel about the movie and talk to me about all that stuff. I'm really happy to have a place to premiere our film.
So you are premiering at South by Southwest.
Yeah, it's our world premiere. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Congratulations on
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really grateful.
And I'm sure have you've already been accepted to other film festivals after South by Southwest?
Oh, we can't really say share much yet, but we will have great news, and we have our Instagram and my own Instagram. Will share all the screening we will have in the future. Yeah.
I completely understand that. So I hear that all the time, so not a problem at all. But wow, what an incredible beautiful film. And ladies and gentlemen, Yuhan Tsai's short film, Dua Ji, examines grief, resentment, and the weight of tradition. Again, it's set in a rural Taiwan town during her mother's funeral, and Dua Ji follows the eldest daughter as she is forced to confront the patriarchal rituals and the quiet rate of duty of that has long defined her life. Now, as the ceremonies unfold and tensions quietly surface, the story positions itself as both an intimate personal journey and a reflection of gender, cultural inheritance, and again, intergenerational tensions. Now, the inspiration of the story stems from Yuhan's family history in rural Taiwan, where her grandmother gave birth to six daughters before finally having a son. But years later, witnessing her grandmother's Taoist funeral, where the rituals centered on the male figure revealed to her that the challenges women face within traditional family structures. Now, Yuhan takes us inside a family's grief while they prepare for her mother's funeral. And will life just move on after it's over, or does one hold on to the past? Now, this is a very emotional film as we live through it in the heart of the eldest daughter. We feel her grief, her quiet resentment to her only brother, and her struggle to truly say goodbye to her mother. Now, this film will resonate with many people around the world, well, as grief is universal. But how we handle grief is not. Again, grief is just love looking for a place to go. So, Yuhan, I want to thank you so much for sharing your wonderful, powerful, emotional film with me today.
Thank you. I really like the last like line you defined the film. That was so great. Thank you so much.
You're
Yeah, thank
very,
you.
very welcome. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are attending South by Southwest, Dua G is an official selection. Make sure you're sitting in the theater when this film is shown, and you'll see the amazing work by Yuhan Tsai when it comes to this amazing short film. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can watch or listen to all of the Bondon Cinema interviews at bondoncinema.com. Check out our Prime Show, our YouTube channel. We're also on Spotify, iTunes, and more. And remember, you'll either see me at the movies or from the red carpet.